We all good? You ready? Gary, you good?
Did you?
Down here, click on single page. There you go.
You're on single.
The Village of Weston Plan Commission order for Monday, January 12th, 2026 at 6 p.m. Roll call, please.
Roman,
Here.
Sagami.
Here.
Weston is not here, but he did say that he was going to be here. Gert,
Here.
Hoffman,
Present.
Jordan,
Here.
Roper.
Here.
All right, item number 2, open public comment period for items that do not appear on this agenda. Noted as public hearings. We have Jim Pincinel.
Good evening, Jim Presnell, 510 Street, Weston. So I'm excited to see this body consider the discussion around reviewing and setting standards for things such as cul-de-sacs and salt storage guidelines. I'm shocked to learn that there really is no standard specified by the village for salt storage, yet we permit salt storage in the village. The village's own salt shed appears to have been subject to a standardized inspection criteria for quite some time, yet we haven't applied those same standards to non-municipal salt storage yet. Stay tuned, it might happen later tonight. On agenda item number 8, there is no public hearing, so I had just a few questions on that when I read the packet. Does this accessory structure meet the required snow load? Who has verified this? The documents presented in the packet do not specify any snow load. Does this structure meet the wind load requirements adopted by this body? I didn't see that in the data cut sheet provided for the building either. The materials it is constructed of do not match the principal structure. It doesn't appear to be on a hard surface. The code mandates this. What method of anchoring was used for the structure? Again, this body now requires sheds to be anchored. What guidelines does the inspection team utilize to determine if anchoring is sufficient to meet the code? Was a permit approved for this accessory structure? What enforcement action has been taken place to date on this prohibited structure? Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. I don't have any other public comment forms here. Is there anybody else online or in the audience that wishes to make a comment?
Step online.
All right, hearing none, we will move on. Here. Item number 3, written communications, disclosures, and recusals. Do we have any written communications? No. Members of the body should make any required disclosures or recusals during this time. Do we have any? You need to recuse yourself during one of them?
On 5, I do.
On 5, okay. If you could just note that, please, Valerie, that Travel recuse himself during item number 5. Item number 4, minutes from December 8th, 2025 meeting.
Move to approve.
We have a motion by Zagami, seconded by
Second.
Mumper. On the question? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Item number 5, public hearing, project number, hang on a second, I'm trying to find this here. Here we go. 20250242, amendment to approved conditional use permit number 20250242 for Turf MDs 5605 Mesker Street. Open the public hearing. Presentation by the applicant or staff.
Okay, Turf MDs is a landscape company providing commercial and residential lawn service and maintenance, hardscape maintenance, and snow removal. In September of 2025, the Plan Commission approved the conditional use permit with conditions including environmental and drainage requirements related to the proposed salt storage bin to protect the nearby municipal well. The applicant has since decided not to install the salt storage bin, and as a result, an amendment to the approved CUP is required under section 94.16.06, parent 11, B1, to modify the approved site plan and remove the salt storage bin and associated conditions. The applicant has submitted an updated operational plan and site plan that excludes the salt storage bin. They are still required to have the conditional use because of the landscaping operation. So they are proceeding with that. So the only thing that they're removing is the requirements and conditions that you put on the salt storage shed. So the reason that we're doing this is they have 2 years from basically building permit or conditional use permit approval to install the structures and be up and running. So if they're not going to do the salt storage shed, then we need to amend the conditional use permit, because otherwise they would not be able to continue operation in 2 years, because it would be null and void. So this is just basically procedural to ensure that they can still continue to use the site for their landscape business. We do have an updated determination document that has been provided and outlines recommended conditions. Staff recommends approval of the amended conditional use permit subject to those conditions.
All right, thank you, Jen. Is the applicant here?
I can answer, general questions on it if I need to.
Okay. Anything you'd like to add?
No.
No? All right, public comment on project number 20250242. Do we have anybody in the audience or online that wishes to make a comment on this? Mr. Pincinel, if you'd like to step up.
Thank you, Mr. Spear. Good evening, Jim Penso, 5000 Street, Weston. Once again, just like last month, I want to start by stating I am in favor of all of these conditional use permits and their amendments as proposed. I support these businesses and the applicant's desire to grow their operations in Weston, stay here, do business here, and follow the rules. I am, however, 100% in opposition to the blatant disregard of adopted policy by staff and this body for not following quasi-judicial guidelines while they are tasked in operating in such a fashion while serving on this formal commission. Why is this applicant being required to amend this permit and a modification is not allowed? We're modifying the next one, but we don't want to do it this way. Where in the code is it called out that we can modify one, but we have to do a formal amendment for another? Why was no amendment filed in Evolve? If you go to Evolve as of this morning at 05:30, there was no amendment to conditional use applied for. Maybe it was done, it wasn't in the public facing side of Evolve, but it's not there. Has the applicant paid for a conditional use permit amendment? Can action even be legally taken on this tonight if none of those steps were followed by staff? I specifically recall personally being mandated to pay a fee and file all of that paperwork myself for my own conditional use permit that had to be amended. It was not offered to be done for me on my behalf by village staff. And I did have to pay for it. So I don't understand how we can move forward with this or even consider it without any of those steps being followed. It just seems like we're on our own program doing whatever we want. So I look forward to hearing your discussion on that.
Anybody else in the audience or online that wishes to make a comment? Last time, any comments? Hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. Discussion and action by the Plan Commission.
I got a quick question, and I don't want to put Jennifer on the spot because I know that was several years ago when Jim's conditional use came through. Was there a different circumstance, Jen, in the situation of that versus just deleting this?
It's not being deleted, so it's being amended. So the way that Evolve works is it's a project in there. So there's stages to the project. And I don't know why he can't see it, but on 12/19 of 25, there was a conditional use permit amendment to CUP created. And it's under review right now because you guys are reviewing it.
Yes.
It has been paid for. So
Okay. So
everything
it's-
on the agenda has been paid for.
Okay, so it's just, it's a misunderstanding somehow whether Jim was not able to log on to see that it was paid for. So you're following the same protocols you did several years ago.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion by the plan commission? Go ahead.
Well, I know that most of the text is the same as it was. I guess the only question I have for the owner is there is a no loading, unloading, or storage shall be permitted in the minimum required front yard. So that particular building, the front of it is paved. Is that what you're considering the front yard, Jen?
Schofield Ave, Joe, referencing?
No, it'd be.
No, it'd be a Mesker.
Mesker Street?
Yeah, so Mesker Street is the front yard.
Correct.
So again, and when you say no loading or unloading, I guess, and I don't know what you guys are doing in particular there, Travis, but are we going to handcuff you by telling you you can't unload out on that paved area?
I'm not sure exactly what happened there, but I believe that what started happening was, Turf MDs were bringing their trucks from the back fenced in area up to the front, and they're loading their lawnmowers on in the front of the building. And I think, I don't know if you guys got complaints about that or something with noise. Was that?
I'm not sure, because I think Carrie was working on this one
Okay,
when it
so-
went through.
So I believe, and I can confirm, but I think that, the tenants across the road were complaining of the lawnmower noise prior to 8 AM. I believe that's where the no unloading loading came from.
So it has those overhead doors on the front of the building.
It has two, one overhead door in the front, three in the rear.
Okay. So loading from the rear that is not,
Yeah, the only reason that they were doing that was because they have, like a fertilizer crew, they have a lawn mowing crew, and then they have a landscaping crew. So it's just to get a little bit of the, you know,
Butter.
clutter
In the morning.
out, yeah. So since they have loaded, unloaded in the back, and there's no problems. Okay.
All right, anything else from planning? Or should we go through the determination? Jen?
You're modifying the
So we do.
conditional use, so. amending it.
All right, hearing no further discussion, I will move to the determination on page 23. Is the proposed use consistent with the village's comprehensive plan and all other applicable ordinances and adopted plans?
Yes.
Number 2, will the proposed use at this location and as shown on the site plan avoid causing significant negative impacts to nearby properties, the surrounding neighborhood, the environment, traffic, parking, public facilities, public property, or public rights of way? And will it protect public health, safety, and general welfare now and in the future?
Yes.
Will the proposed use be compatible with nearby land uses in terms of type, intensity, and overall impact?
Yes.
Is the proposed use located in an area that is adequately served by existing public services and infrastructure? And will it not place an unreasonable burden on public facilities, utilities, or services?
Yes.
Do the expected public benefits of the proposed use outweigh any potential negative impacts considering the applicant's proposal and any conditions or measures proposed to reduce those impacts?
Yes.
I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the conditional use permit 5605 Mesker Street. Weston, Wisconsin.
Motion made by Gerndt. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Jordan. On the question.
Actually, do I have to amend mine just to make any points to it that were part of the conditions, per current property
Are
conditions?
you okay with the conditions as they were
Well,
submitted, or do you
Yeah,
want?
as they're stated, because there was current property conditions already. I just want to make sure we're following the current property.
So this is an amendment to the conditional use permit, so a full new conditional use permit will be recorded that supersedes the other one.
Okay, so then I think we have some existing ones that I did notice, that we have 1 through 8 on the conditions. I would assume we would follow that.
It's 1 through 7.
Is there any paragraphs in this? I think. Okay, 1 through 7, if you don't. Okay.
But that doesn't require an amendment, does it? That would automatically,
So if you look at the draft that I put in there, it basically is stating that this amendment supersedes and overrides the previously approved and recorded conditional use permit. So we're adopting a complete new
Okay,
one over that.
so I just need to know if I have to how do you handle it?
You can do as recommended on
Yeah,
The draft
I can do that.
conditional?
I just need to know if I have to we have to
if you
restate
need to
it.
amend his motion, is his question, or does his motion suffice?
I think you just said approve.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
the only thing we need to change.
So do I need to amend it?
I probably would to
Okay,
say
so
that
can I
it
amend
is
my motion?
to per the draft conditional use permit that was included.
Yes, so I'll amend my motion, conditional use permit for 5605 Mesker with the following conditions listed on page 26, 1 through 7.
So we have an amendment to the original motion by Gert. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Jordan. This is a vote on the amendment to the original motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carries for the amendment.
Thank you.
Now, on the original motion that was amended, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Should be good to go there. And then, moving on to item number 6. So Trav Hoffman would like to take his seat. He can.
Thank you for clarifying that.
All right. Item number 6, public hearing, project number 20250439. Modification to approved conditional use permit number 20250439 for Riverview Construction, 4801 and 4803 Ross Avenue. I will open the public hearing. We have a presentation by the applicant and or the staff.
So the public hearing is for project 20250439, a request to modify an approved conditional use permit for Riverview Construction at 4801 and 4803 Ross Avenue. It's located in the LI Limited Industrial Zoning District with a wellhead protection zone A overlay. In December 25, the Plan Commission approved a conditional use permit for a salt storage shed subject to specific conditions. Following that approval, village staff met on site with the applicant to review operations and the approved conditions. During that review, staff identified that one condition requiring salt to be set back 10 feet from the front of the bin would likely result in ongoing compliance and enforcement issues during normal operations. The applicant also proposed site improvements, including re-asphalting and reinstalling curb to improve salt containment and reduce runoff potential. The applicant submitted a revised site plan and cross-section reflecting those discussions. This information became available before the permit was finalized and recorded. Under section 9416.06, parent 11C of the zoning ordinance, the Plan Commission may modify an approved conditional use permit through the public hearing process when the approved use or conditions would not align with actual operations. The proposed modification does not change the use. It updates the conditions to improve enforceability while maintaining groundwater protection standards. Staff recommends approval of the modified conditional use permit subject to the conditions outlined in the determination document and draft COP. So the draft COP that I have in the packet would supersede and modify the previous action that the Plan Commission took. We didn't go ahead and I chose not to record the COP because within a week of prior to that, it just took a week for the guys to get out there and look to see with that 10 feet. They went out there and looked like a week later and it didn't look like it was going to work. So I contacted Nick and Nick and set up a meeting, and we met right before Christmas because in order to get on this meeting agenda, we had to have the hearing notice in by Christmas Day. So we met on the 22nd and kind of went through and talked with Scott Havoc, who owns the property, and there was a representative from Riverview there also, along with Travis Meverden and Roman and I. So we are bringing this back as a modification because that conditional use permit has not been recorded yet.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? And can you just refresh for the public record, the Wisconsin Supreme Court decision in regards to zoning, and I believe it also applies to conditional use permits, et cetera, in regards to the hospital that was up in Monaco area? My understanding is that we can't just deny something. In other words, if something is legally permitted, zoned effectively, and they meet the requirements,
Right, correct.
we have no choice but to approve.
If they meet,
In other words, if someone just says, I don't want a salt storage shed in Weston,
No, you can't do that.
we're not allowed to agree with them so long as they meet the requirements. Is that
right,
correct?
so if they meet the performance standards that we outline in the zoning code, if they meet that, then there has to be a really, really good reason for you to turn down a conditional
They have
use.
to show proof, correct, Jen?
Mhm.
Proof with studies or examples of.
There has to be, they put that, it was kind of the landowner bill of rights, I think is what they called it.
Correct.
But it was a number of years ago now. And essentially, our code was ahead of the game because we had gone through the process to put those performance standards in. So you'll see some codes where, like our old code had just a list of uses that were under the conditional use. There was no rhyme or reason why you would give that conditional use and what those conditions could potentially be. So a conditional use is not to totally prohibit, but it's something that it's a use that you may need to look at a little bit more. And so you put those performance standards in and things that you want them to meet. So the idea is if we're doing a whole bunch of them and we don't really care and we maybe don't need those conditions, then they go into the permitted use category. So a number of things we put back into just as permitted uses by right because we didn't really have any concerns with them. The things that you're gonna see that have conditional uses are things that could be allowing something in a district that would normally not fit there. So like you don't want to have a restaurant or a bunch of things in your industrial parks, but you may have a use that is more on a retail that can fit in there, but they have to meet those conditions in order to go there.
Thank you for the explanation and update. I just felt that was important for the public record in regards to this
That's a
conditional use permit.
good point, Roy. And it's not like you're trying to disregard the landowner that doesn't want it.
exactly.
It's just, we don't have
But-
much of a choice.
We have to comply with the law.
Yeah.
And
Much of it was because you kind of take away that petitioning where like a room full of people that just don't want it there because they don't want it there. There has to be a good reason. I mean, we do plans. We've got our future land use map. We're very cognizant of where the uses fit in our community. And developers want to know where we want things. So they're going to want to look at it and come in with projects that fit.
Okay,
Not be
so,
turned down because people don't like it.
so the end result on this is on page 47, it appears that Riverview is okay with the hump in there.
They wanted the hump.
Oh,
so-
that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
If they think they
So-
can work through that, and it looks like they're gonna remove and repave the existing inside of salt shed.
Yeah, so what they changed out was they gave us this that kind of showed what they want to do, and then they outlined the area that they are proposing to repave. So that would come back in with, prior to them doing it, there would be a permit for
I
that.
think the engineer could have done a better job than a one-line drawing with the roof. Being that he's out in the crowd, I gotta give him a little jab. Happy New Year, Nick.
He did it under holiday time.
How much he's gonna pave in the front?
That's currently paved right now.
It's currently paved now, he's just repairing the pavement.
And he's gonna, looks like he's got the inside, he's inside.
Some of what
and
I
out.
see in that picture, it doesn't look good at all, really, it's not, it has to be removed practically. At least the picture I'm looking here.
I think that's the plan.
He's gonna,
Yeah.
he is
These are all
redoing
has
it.
to come out 100%.
So Shane, are you asking how far out past the curb or the bump? How far out past that is gonna be repaved?
Yeah, because the picture I'm seeing here, this area is all alligator, they have to come out.
Looks like to remove and replace existing drivers, looks like it's out past it, but it doesn't.
No, look at the other
Do you
picture.
understand how far he's gonna go out past the?
Look at the other picture. Would you bring the other picture up, please?
Name and address, please.
Well, but I think you should open.
Right there.
All right. Yeah, Nick, can you just give us a second? I was gonna call on you and just real quick here. So before we get too far off on a tangent here, there'll be an opportunity for planning to discuss this a little bit more. I want to get the presentation finished up by Jen and Nick. So Jen, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
I don't have anything additional.
Okay.
Nick wants to talk. He's part of the applicant.
Yep. Nick, if you got anything you'd like to add, please step on up and state your name and address for the record.
Sure. Nick Mansig, Marathon Technical Services, 1699 Schofield Avenue, Schofield. So if you pull up the other map that shows the area they're gonna pave, he's planning to pave the inside of the salt shed, which is the little dog leg on the southwest corner there. And then he's planning to pave up to the property line towards Old Castle. So it's all the way up, the line goes up to the property line. I know there's more asphalt past that, but it's not his property. So his intent is then to pave up going northeasterly, and there's a definite line you can see in the asphalt where it's been redone previously. So he's planning to redo all the old area that is his property.
Thank you very much. Anybody have any other questions for Nick before he sits back down?
Just the salt shed is 23 feet deep. So going 10 feet back before you start the salt, you lose over half the capacity because of the angle of the salt. So.
Thank you very much. All right. Now that we got that out of the way, we'll move on to public comment. So do we have anybody online or in the audience that wishes to make a comment on this matter? Mr. Pincinel, if you'd like to step up and.
I do. Myself, I live 2 Street, Weston. Commissioner Mumber, to expound upon what you were saying, the state of Wisconsin statute states that the state of Wisconsin is a shall issue state for conditional use permits. This body cannot deny a conditional use permit. It cost me $500 in legal representation to get that so we could get beyond this, so I get my project moved forward. So I know that very well, okay? But just because the conditional use permit is approved doesn't mean that the site currently meets the specifications set forth by this body. So this current site doesn't meet the criteria laid out by this body approximately 30 days ago. Also, again, this is a discrepancy. Maybe it's one of the forward-facing evolved things that the public side can't see. But there is no amendment for this filed. In fact, on the agenda, it says modification. Well, why are we treating one? The other gentleman had to pay whatever it was to amend his conditional use permit. But this one that was already approved, we're going to modify it. We're not going to amend it. Why are we treating this one differently? Staff was aware that salt has been stored in this facility in a commercial capacity in a wellhead protection zone. And the applicant even stated for over a decade, right? And staff isn't blind, they've been here, they've been in this site. There were 2 violation complaints filed, both of which were closed with no violation found, is what it says in Evolve. And again, maybe that's wrong, maybe Evolve is wrong on the public side. But then after this body approved a conditional use permit, 1 week later, then the staff went out to go look at it. And then they said, oh gosh, this doesn't meet the spec. Look at the asphalt. We've got salt that goes on beyond, and you can see the photos that are in here. So we're not even operating the way the conditional use permit said. Was there any violation found there? Was there any enforcement performed? Was Mountain Bay Metropolitan informed? Was there even a letter or like a call? Hey, Scotty, you gotta at least like brush the salt up and make it look good until the meeting's over? Anything? I'm totally for this business. I want it to happen, but everyone sitting here said, hey, you gotta repave it. He was good saying, hey, I wanna repave that whole thing and I'm good with that too. And he wanted the curb in there. I think the applicant is being absolutely responsible about it. I just think the way that this is playing out is we're just kicking the can. And we all know, everyone sitting here knows, you're not gonna call American and get asphalt rolled in here tomorrow. Their plant is shut down until spring. Can't do it. You know, you'd have to pay an exorbitant amount of money to heat the ground and pour concrete if he wanted to do that. But that wasn't even talked about last time. It was, we gotta fix you have to repave it. Well, when? So you can continue to operate in a non-conforming matter until what? Like, what are we even doing here?
Well,
This is a kangaroo court. Like, I want this guy to be here, but your decision, like, you're just wasting your time here tonight, spinning your wheels, just like you did a month ago. Because we're just gonna do whatever we want anyways. It's kind of silly, really. I look forward to hearing the conversation on this. Thank you.
All right, second time, any public comments on project number 20250439, either in the audience or online?
5005 Earl Street. Why does Riverview Construction on the north side of that chain link fence look like a dump? You go to the opposite side of the chain link fence, you go in Old Castle Glass, and there's nothing laying around. It would be a little overstated if I said I could eat off the parking lot. But you compare the two businesses, they're both for profit. I know Randy Wyckoff, I worked for Randy Wyckoff, decent character. But you gotta run a class operation. That yard is not classy. If you walk through the fence, Roland, and you look at the junk piled up around the gate, that's supposedly storage, where those storage containers sitting. I cannot have a storage container on my property, but they can stack them up like it's a freight dock. Come on, guys, run the businesses fair. If Randy wants to, you wanna put 10 truckloads of sand in there, or salt in there, correct? 10 semi-loads of salt are gonna take up one heck of a lot of room in that yard. Is that all gonna be covered up when it's done? If not, is it gonna turn into a salt pile that's rock hard? Are the improvements going to be made that the salt doesn't get rock hard? We don't know what the weather is gonna do next week or the following week. He may not need another drop of sand after Friday. We don't know. But you gotta make it look better. If Randy doesn't wanna make improvements, then that permit should not be issued, nor should it be modified. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further comments regarding number 20250439, online or in the audience? All right, hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. Discussion and action by the Plan Commission. Gary, I think you were.
I just a question. Well, when you were there, was there 10 loads of salt in the parking lot? So
It's 200 tons, sir.
All of the salt was in the shed when I was on site there. To answer your question.
They're asking for 200
Sir, respectfully.
tons, 10 truckloads.
Respectfully, this conversation is for this body right now.
Wait a minute, sir, wait a minute. You're allowing these other gentlemen to speak when you need a question asked.
Mr. Bancek is the applicant, was the applicant for his conditional use
What about
permit.
the gentleman that was sitting here?
He was also, he's the property owner of that applicant.
And
Okay.
I live right across from the property that's going to be affected by this. And that doesn't.
This is for this body only.
Whatever, we'll just leave your kangaroo court done.
Jamie, if you go to page 41 in the packet, please.
I just have to make the picture smaller. Hold on. That's as small as it'll go.
So that picture was taken when me, Jennifer, Travis met Nick and the representative from Riverview on site.
Were all three of these that same day?
And so this profile picture here indicates exactly what we're trying to correct with Nick. That the salt is already basically at the front of that salt storage shed.
So the point about the 10 feet.
Yeah, Gary's motion to about 10 feet back for the salt itself. It, like Nick stated, it's only 23 feet deep. So that's almost 50% of the depth of the shed.
So the solution, correct me if I'm wrong, is to replace the asphalt in the spring when American Asphalt opens, correct? And add the curb back in to avoid the 10 feet.
Yep.
Correct? That's the only change.
And repave the exterior as well.
Correct. Which I believe that was included in the motion that was made
Yeah, page 48, you'll see
in December.
748.
I didn't realize or couldn't visualize what Nick had, I just thought that the berm would be, any one of us that pick salt or pick material, the berm would be a hindrance, but if this works the way they have it set up, and I didn't realize how narrow that was for what they're trying to get, this would be the best way to contain it. We can't really do a whole lot when they were in last month. It's winter time. We can't pave in the winter time. I don't care if we thaw the ground or not. American can't make their mix in the winter, so. We have gravel roads that get salted and sanded. We have roads in the village of Weston that are cracked up as well, so I understand this is a wellhead. But we're trying to treat the circumstance the best we can with what we have at our hands, so we did make the motion last time, and I'm prepared to make another motion.
And I would also just comment, there's a reason that the salt shed inspection is on the agenda this month. We did listen and they have that discussion, right? And that was one of our concerns is how do we long-term, not just in the given moment, how do we do the best for the water supply long-term? That's why we're going to be discussing that later tonight. But this is an existing business. So if you want to say that you want them to run, but at the same time, you want us to shut them down, I don't see how that's compatible. Yeah, if we wait till spring, then we shut his business down, correct?
Yeah. Right now, there's a moratorium on salt right now from the dock in Green Bay, so I'm sure they're fighting to get any salt that they possibly can right now.
It's all the docks right now.
Yeah, once you go down like,
Chicago's same thing.
yeah, but you gotta go like 3 states over.
They're in Arkansas. That's where they're pulling it from.
Yeah, they're running salt from there, so there's obviously, but that is irrelevant to this. It's just a matter of if we're trying to get through the resolution of this, and I think we're trying to do the best we can and enforce what we can with the circumstances on hand. And that's, like you said, we did discuss how do we further make sure that this is rectified and make sure somebody's following up on it. And I think we talked with that. We'll be discussing it later, how we try to implement that.
In those pictures, it shows the salt is all over the place, is not under the canopies all out. How is going to control that?
Per Riverview's operations manager, how they control it is with a skid steer with a broom on it.
Yeah, but right now he's out quite a bit with the salt, according to this picture.
According to that picture, correct, sir.
So whatever, he has to eliminate that issue. He cannot operate it like that.
Was that corrected
Yes.
the day that you were there?
Yep.
Okay.
I misspoke earlier. My apologies. These 3 pictures in the packet, those were taken the week before we met on site. So those are the pictures that from just after the Plan Commission meeting. So we did a follow-up inspection the following week or follow-up meet on site. And by the time that we were there for those pictures, that was cleaned up.
And I just want to comment real quick and say thank you guys for doing that, because before we didn't take the time to do that to taxpayers and our businesses. So thank you for going over there at the moment and working with them. I think that's good, and it shows good partnership with our community that we're willing to help and we're willing to try to figure out a good resolution. Because I think Scott was more than willing that night to do whatever it took. So I
Absolutely.
think reciprocation was good with you guys going over there and trying to work it out. And thank you, Jen, for bringing this back. It was here last week and you did this without having to do a redo because you caught it within the first week. So, thank you.
All right, any other discussion on this agenda item, or should we move through the determination? All right, hearing none, we'll move into the determination. Item 1, is the proposed use consistent with the village's comprehensive plan and all other applicable ordinances and adopted plans?
Yes.
Will the proposed use at this location and as shown on the site plan avoid causing significant negative impacts to nearby properties, the surrounding neighborhood, the environment, traffic, parking, public facilities, public property, or public rights of way? And will it protect public health, safety, and general welfare now and in the future?
Yes.
Will the proposed use be compatible with nearby land uses in terms of type, intensity, and overall impact?
Yes.
Is the proposed use located in an area that is adequately served by existing public services and infrastructure? And will it not place an unreasonable burden on public facilities, utilities, or services?
Yes.
Do the expected public benefits of the proposed use outweigh any potential negative impacts, considering the applicant's proposal and any conditions or measures proposed to reduce those impacts?
Yes.
I will entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the modification and conditional use permit 2025-0439, allowing Riverview Construction to have a self-storage shed within the wellhead protection area zone A overlay district.
We have a motion by Mumper. Do we have a second?
Any conditions?
Oh, I'm sorry, I assume that it includes the conditions that are stated, correct? Or do we have to specifically reference those, John?
I would just say as
Presented.
stated, as presented.
Yeah, I'll move to approve the modification of conditional use permit 2025-0439 as presented along Riverview Construction to have salt storage shed within the wellhead protection zone A overlay district.
We have a motion by Mumper. Do we have a second? Seconded by Gerndt. On the question. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, Nick. All right, item number 7, public hearing, project number 2023-0083. Amendment to approve conditional use permit number 2023-0083 for Stainless Holdings LLC, 4305 Fort Wade. Open the public hearing. Presentation by the applicant and or the staff.
So this request is for a conditional use permit amendment number 2 for a personal storage facility located at 4305 Transport Way in the LI Limited Industrial Zoning District. The original conditional use permit was approved on August 14th, 2023, and amendment 1 was approved on December 9th, 2024. The first conditional use permit was essentially to build the storage facility at that site. Amendment 2, it was limited in scope and purpose, and update. The other one, amendment 1, approved on December 9th, 2024, was for basically bringing the project down to a smaller size. They basically removed a few of the units and changed the site plan and the building elevations. This amendment 2 is limited in scope and purpose as an update to the approved site lighting plan to reflect lighting fixtures installed on site. Updated lighting plans, including photometric data and fixture specifications, were submitted and reviewed by staff and found to meet applicable code requirements. All other aspects of the previously approved conditional use permit and amendment 1 remain unchanged. Staff recommends approval of the conditional use permit amendment 2 subject to the following conditions. And there are 5 conditions. So All conditions of the original CUP approved on August 14, 2023, and conditional use permit amendment 1 approved December 9th, 24 shall remain in full force and effect unless specifically modified by this amendment. The site lighting shall be installed and maintained in accordance with the updated site lighting plan, photometric study, and fixture specifications approved by the village. Any future changes, modifications, or additions to the approved site lighting plan shall require review and approval by the village approval authority prior to installation. The use shall be conducted in a lawful, orderly, and peaceful manner and shall comply with all applicable federal, state, county, and village laws and ordinances. If the personal storage facility use is continued for a period exceeding 365 consecutive days, the conditional use permit shall become null and void. So those are the conditions that are placed on the draft modification or draft amendment. This is an amendment because there was 2 prior recorded conditional use permits on this.
All right, thank you, Jen. Is the applicant here?
Yeah.
Do you have anything you'd like to add, sir? Okay, can you state your name and address for the record? Thank you very much.
I guess just one thing that I'll point out, probably more clarification. This was caught actually on site closure for this project. So this project is 2+ years old. So we're basically going through now and closing out project from 2 to 3 years ago. So they do go on site. They did take measurements, but essentially they went from pole lights that you approved to on-building lights. So Roman and Travis verified that they still gave the appropriate amount of the electrical, the photometrics, illumination, so that you could still see around the parking lot. But we needed to have these revised plans because they were not what you approved originally. So it's just more for.
We need to go through determination on this one, Jen. I don't know if that's required or not.
I have it in there. It doesn't hurt because this is your written finding, so you should.
I think we should, just so we're consistent. All right. So public comment. Is there anybody online or in the audience that wishes to make a comment on project number 2023-0083? Jim?
Good evening, Jim Hudson, 502 Weston. I've been by these storage units, they look fantastic. I think they're lit up pretty well at night. Couple of questions. Did we hit the guy for the $250 fee the second time? Wasn't showing that any Evolve.
He does have, he has. paid.
Okay, and maybe this is the new Evolve working just how the old Evolve did, where there's nothing viewable to the public. So hopefully that's something we can get fixed. Or maybe that was designed characteristic into, hey, we want to make sure the public can't actually see what's going on and it's a big secret. Okay. You said staff was out there, was staff physically there at night and measured to see if the lumens in each area match what is shown on the plan? The modified plan versus the original plan look different. Again, I think a guy can drive through there with one eye and you'd be just fine and you can see where you're going, but this is your deal, not mine. And then, yeah, there were more dark areas on the original plan, I think, than this one. So there is some inconsistency there, but I'm just curious to see if staff actually say we're on site, but were you on site at 6 p.m. when it's dark, or I guess 4 p.m. now? Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Second time, any comments online or in the audience on this matter? Third time, any comments? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing. Discussion and action by the Plan Commission. Gary?
For all the emit lumens on the second time around.
Again?
Emit requirements, obviously.
Yeah, so when we were doing closeout, obviously like Jennifer stated,
There's some changes.
it doesn't match.
Yeah. Yep.
So we got to go back to the drawing board. So I worked with Josh to get the appropriate cut sheets, took a couple different vendors for him to try and find appropriate layouts. Because when I was on site at 5 o'clock at night taking light meter readings, what was on his original change layout didn't match what was on site. So
Different brand of light, different lumens.
all the factors,
Yep.
even snow plays a factor
Right.
after dark. So it was, we were getting, readings that weren't even close. So sent Josh back to the drawing board again. And what we've got here is within a couple foot candles of underneath the lights for readings.
Excellent, thank you.
I'd just like to say for the public record, it states right in the document, and I will quote, staff requested updated lighting specifications and photometric data reflecting the lighting as installed. The applicant submitted revised lighting plans which have been reviewed and verified by the building inspector. The updated plans demonstrate compliance with applicable code requirements. I think that suffices to answer the public comments.
Yes.
Any other comments? All right, hearing none, we'll move into the determination. Is the proposed use consistent with the village's comprehensive plan and all other applicable ordinances and adopted plans?
Yes.
Will the proposed use at this location and as shown on the site plan avoid causing significant negative impacts to nearby properties, the surrounding neighborhood, the environment, traffic, parking, public facilities, public property, or public rights of way, and will it protect public health, safety, and general welfare now and in the future?
Yes.
Will the proposed use be compatible with nearby land uses in terms of type, intensity, and overall impact?
Yes.
Is the proposed use located in an area that is adequately served by existing public services and infrastructure, and will it not place an unreasonable burden on public facilities, utilities, or services?
Yes.
Do the expected public benefits of the proposed use outweigh any potential negative impacts, considering the applicant's proposal and any conditions or measures proposed to reduce those impacts?
Yes.
And we'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Gerndt. We have a second. Seconded by Zagami. On the question. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? So carried. Thank you very much.
Can I make one comment? Thank you for investing in our community too, sir. Appreciate that. We all do.
All right, agenda item number 8, site plan approval per section 94.4.09, parent 2, parent I, for detached accessory structure for residential use at 5107 Aspen Street.
I can go ahead and take it.
Go ahead, I've talked enough.
Yep. So the applicant, Jessica Stroley, is the district manager for Scholl's Property Management. The apartment complex located at 5107 Aspen Street. She manages the property on behalf of the owner, Atlas 2 LLC. They are requesting to retain the location of a 7x7 accessory structure that was installed on the property earlier this fall without a permit. Upon noticing the structure, staff contacted the owner and advised the shed must either be removed or permitted. The owner elected to apply for the required permit. And the shed is intended for a snow blower for property maintenance. The accessory structures issue is that it is in front of these principal structures. So if we go to 67, there's an aerial map, approximate locations. And then 68, 69 have additional locations of the shed in question. As we're looking for the ability to place it in front of the structure or in front of the principal structure in between the structure and the right of way. Item J is actually what is stated in the code, which is on page 73, which requires Plan Commission approval for the site plan. This is not a conditional use permit to exceed size. So item J is what we are looking at satisfying here in the code, which states that in all residential RR2, non-residential mixed-use zoning districts, and for all multifamily residences regardless of district, no portion of a detached accessory structure shed for residential use shall occupy any land between the principal building on a residential lot and a street right of way, except where approved by the Plan Commission as part of an approved site plan. Now, the current location of said shed is in violation of front setback off the front property line, which would be Aspen Street.
Does it meet all the other requirements in the code for a shed?
The Suncast shed is what it is. That's a manufactured shed assembly. So all the specifications for the size of the shed were put in the packet. These,
Residential use instead of a non-residential use.
what's that?
It's a residential use instead of a non-residential use. So the permanent foundation, some of those things I'm at. Requirements in residential use.
So even though it's on a pad, it doesn't need to be on a pad and
Say it's wood.
doesn't
It's
need.
currently attached to a wooden framework.
I'm just thinking of like wind load, anchorage, those are not required because it's residential.
It's still required, okay? Where it's at currently is on a concrete pad with the wooden framework in between the concrete and the shed itself.
What was there before? That wouldn't.
There was a dumpster enclosure there apparently.
I would say something looks to appear that it was there.
So when they put it there, that's where they put it, was on that concrete pad.
And a dumpster location was okay to be in front of the building before?
Well, there's no dumpster location there, and I can't speak to what the code was when those dumpster locations were installed. There are still 3 dumpster enclosures farther north on the property.
I guess I'm still not clear. Does this meet code no matter where we put it? Or would it not?
Once it's fixed in its permanent location, yes.
Yeah.
So there are ground anchors that they can install to meet the wind load. It is a 7x7 shed. So the wind load imposed on the 7-foot wall is limited in scope. Okay. But until we have an approved location for it, we can't proceed with permitting the shed to be installed.
Okay, anything else you'd like to add, Roman?
The property or the site manager is in attendance this evening. So if you have any questions for him as far as conditions, he's here. After speaking with them last week and discussing the locations, I believe they're open to any of the identified locations on the map.
Sir, do you have anything you'd like to add? Yes.
I don't.
Just step up and state your name and address, and you're free to add anything if you'd like to.
Sam Capello, 5107 Aspen Street, Weston. I guess my only question is, I just need to know what I have to do exactly and when I have to move it exactly. After speaking with Roman the other day, I guess my boss didn't know. We put it there, seemed like a good place. After speaking with Roman, we're more than happy to move it basically across the parking lot towards the building. I'm just asking for time when it's not snow and ice and that, but whatever I need to do and when I need to do it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, presentation, yeah, so public comment. Do we have anybody online or in the audience that wishes to make a public comment on project number 20230083? Second time, any comments?
This isn't a public hearing.
Oh, you're, shoot, I am sorry.
You're on number 8.
I got ahead of myself here. We've had so many.
Pandora's box, I was gonna step up.
Yeah, we've had so many of these tonight that they all blend together. My apologies. Okay, so never mind, this isn't a public hearing. So I guess it's up to the,
I guess I would make a motion to approve this if the owners are willing to relocate to any one of the approved locations that Roman has required. Sounds like Roman has done his homework on making sure anchoring, wind loads, all the other stuff is compliant. And I would assume we would understand that the conditions right now are not probably the best to be removing it at this point unless somebody else wants to challenge that, but I would assume we would ask them to do that in the spring to get it compliant. So I'll make a motion to approve it as it sits and give them some time in the spring to get it moved.
so we have a motion by Gerndt. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mumper. On the question, I would just like to, do we want to put a date on it so that it's a moved by date in the spring?
Should. Yes, as soon as, I would assume this, sure, by June. Maybe by June 5th, that's well enough along that it's dry out where you don't have to worry about wrecking the lawn or rutting it up or anything. Right, June 1st.
We need to amend the
May
motion.
15 weather permitting.
You want me to amend it?
Sure. Yeah, I think we should amend that.
I'll amend my motion to include the end date or deadline of June 15th. Weather permitting that they can get it there without running up their yard.
Hey, hold on, before we second that, you said May 15th and not June 15th?
May 15th. I don't care what date it is, May, June.
Yeah,
It's gonna get done.
May is good. May is good.
So we have a motion to amend the original motion with a deadline of May 15th.
Weather permitting.
Weather permitting.
I'll second.
Motion by Gerndt, second by Mumper. On the amendment, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Now on the original motion to approve the shed as long as it's moved to one of the locations. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Item number 9, discussion of an internal inspection process for conditional use permits in a wellhead protection zone.
Okay, last month you asked us to put this on the agenda to discuss further. So I did put together
Thank you, sir. Have a good night.
some background information. We currently have, well, after this evening, there's only 2 approved permits. So it would be Kadronowitz Lawn Care at 5906 Hilgeman Street, which was approved last year, and Riverview Construction at 4801 Ross Avenue, because Turf MD is no longer has one. As we've stated, the village does not have a formal annual inspection program for privately owned salt storage facilities that are located in our wellhead protection areas through the CUP. And I did include what Michael found. The DOT has kind of a sample document that we could utilize. So I did put together some areas for discussion. So if you go to page 76. I don't know if you guys want to go through these specifically, but it would give us
Jen, can I
the
ask a
staff.
quick question? How many more do we have in wellhead protection areas? Is it just the 2 that,
We only have 2 that are
2
permitted.
currently? Okay,
Is the one here in wellhead protection?
Drowski's and Riverview's.
Because Riverview is almost out of,
Yeah,
they're
they're at
very
the
close to
edge
not
or right at
being
the edge.
required.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So that's the reason that Turf MD's decided not to do their salt shed was because in contact with REI to get a environmental study done, that was gonna be north of $5,000 to have that study done on what the impact was gonna be on the potential impact would be in that area. And the DNR got involved with that one as well. Jen, I think I had forwarded you that, some of that conversation back and forth. So that's the reason, that's the whole reason that Turf MD's vowed to get out of it, was it was just too much red tape to proceed with it. It definitely affects their business, but they're willing to seek alternative options rather than going through all of the red tape, so to speak.
Was that a requirement that we put into place to have an environmental?
Yes.
So
Was that a requirement on that conditional use? Cause I remember Husheng,
In the performance
it
standard.
is, okay.
So if it's in a, did we get that from Kudrowski and did we get that from Scott or from Riverview?
We got one from Kotrovsky.
it's the distance of the wellhead of where the well is to where the proposed salt shed location is. There's a 600-foot difference between Riverview and where Turf MD's was proposing, so it's
Yeah, you're drawing.
that 600-foot
Yeah,
is,
Kudrowski's is also for turf, they're really close to the well, right?
yeah, and
Station.
and I believe they had done that,
They did.
yeah.
Traders existed before any of this stuff was put in.
Right.
Yeah, so how do
It's been
you,
there longer than,
how do we try to protect as the village side of it for that water tower as well, with Schrader's being there? Whether is that just a out of sight, out of mind, was there prior?
And question number 2. On existing and future couple, I don't know if they have a couple. You're saying probably not, right? But
They don't, so I guess I forget. One of you guys asked me a question, I think last month, and I said, you know, we haven't historically gone after existing businesses for operations that were approved. You know, our old code really didn't have a wellhead protection.
Oh, sure.
You know, it wasn't really well known, you know, some of these influences. So if we do want to start looking at existing businesses and telling people they have to stop what they're doing, I guess.
I'll just, if I can comment on that. So many years ago, I had an underground storage tank in my business. I no longer have one.
Yeah.
Why? Because people became more aware that, geez, things leak, they contaminate the environment, they cause problems, and they made it stricter and stricter and stricter, and more enforcement and more codes and requirements. I just finally went, dig it up and get rid of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So
mean,
in my mind, just because somebody was here, I could care less, right? Like times change, environmental impacts, nobody knew about PFAS 15 years ago, right?
Yeah, we learned new
We
things.
learned, right?
Yeah, we learned new
And
things.
so you address as you move forward, I think.
Because
So-
really, who else do we have besides Schrader that would be in it?
I mean, the old municipal center was, but that's why that was one of the other deciding factors of how do we handle our salt? Like we couldn't have put a salt shed back there.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing I took a big thing from was that our Weston is required to have an inspection, right?
Yeah.
Annually.
And yours is done by DOT.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, just those two factors, I think, that to me, it's, yeah, just because you're existing, just because you got a cup in the past, doesn't mean that we shouldn't change how we address these things going forward. That's my take, right? Like it changes with time.
Who does? King does? Small one. I didn't know that.
So I guess to that, I know there was a question about the environmental, is the environmental impact? Is that what you were asking about initially? Correct, Gary? I think that was you, wasn't it? Or was it?
Yeah.
As far as the impact on.
Yeah, because, well, I know Trav, you had mentioned that we required that and that
Yeah,
deterred that.
I asked. Yeah,
So
if
my
there's-
question I guess to Michael, because do we need to have that done? For every one of these in a wellhead protection?
I
Should
think
we?
within that
If they're
600 feet.
within I think it's 1,200 feet, so like I said, a Turf MD's was within 900 feet of the well, so they're less than 1,200 feet, whereas Riverview is at like 1,600 feet or 1,500 feet, so they're outside that 1,200 foot.
The code currently, do we have that if it's within 1,200 feet?
So that's a DNR code.
Okay,
And that's where we got the hangup was with the DNR.
okay. So that was a little bit of a different situation then.
So is there a possibility, Roman, could you, along with maybe some other staff, just sit down with Todd and talk to him about it a little bit? I mean, it is, I mean, that, you can't get much closer.
What's the siting question?
The
The salt,
The address.
5504 Jamar, I think.
right behind you. Okay. Right behind Turf MD.
Yeah, right adjacent to turf.
I mean, I agree with you, right? Things change and the more research and the more people realize requirements and laws and things that are contaminated ground, you have to fix somehow, right? I don't know legally what the attorney would say on that, or what Schrader could say, go pound sand, and you may not have any leg to stand on. I don't know that. But it'd be nice to get them somewhat compliant, or at least to follow it being as close as it is to the wellhead there.
I guess I'd leave that to staff and legal to see what that is, but I think having an inspection program and applying it to everyone that's within the wellhead protection, to me, that makes sense.
So are you on board that if it's not in a wellhead protection, that they don't need an inspection? Is that what we're? Or do we want the inspection to apply to everybody?
It probably should apply to everybody, but I think,
Yeah.
I think it would have to apply to everybody, but I think like the study, for example, I think there's gonna be differences, right, between where
Yeah.
you're located.
Right.
You would trigger within that 1,200, you'd have to have the environmental study.
Right.
Right, because we get inspected,
Yes.
but we're not in a wellhead protection, so
Well,
not here.
No, you're
Well, but
not.
the inspection and those are two different topics, right? I think we're agreeing and saying everybody has a salt storage should probably be inspected or should be inspected.
Your old office.
But if you are within 1,200 feet, I
No, I
agree with that DNR. I think we should follow the DNR policy and
2,200.
make sure that they have, that they have an environmental.
So it's-
study.
What's the pump house?
It makes a lot of sense to me, just common sense wise too, right? I mean, the closer you are to the water supply.
Yeah, there's two over there.
Yeah, 2 wells.
Yeah, that's we're a good mile from where we're at right now.
Oh, it is. Well, when you say yours, you're right next.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So Roy, are you requesting that staff start to compile a list of all salt storage facilities in the village?
I would say yes.
How many do we have, do you think?
I have no idea. That's not something we've tracked.
What does a DOT do in regards to, they inspect every municipal storage shed in the state every year?
Yeah. I mean, we also purchase our salt through the state, so. They know who's buying and how much we
You
have,
wanna
and
make sure where they're selling, it's got a good laydown area and it's protected.
yeah.
Have we done any research as far as what neighboring communities are doing as far as an inspection? Is it being required? Or is this something that's only being required if you're in a wellhead and it triggers the conditional use permit?
Oh, that is a good question.
I guess what I would say is, if we're requiring asphalt to be down in good condition, if the person that's running it isn't running his business properly enough that he's making enough money, is he gonna want to replace the asphalt? And I'm gonna ask Husheng that question. Would you feel comfortable allowing somebody just to be on their own control, making sure their asphalt is, or if you're gonna give them a permit to put a salt shed outside of the wellhead district, would you feel comfortable, or would you want them to have an inspection?
I think they should have an inspection. It's just you keeping it uniform and
And if it can't comply, then you lose it.
that's it.
Go ahead.
And then the inspection, I think they should move all the salt out of shed and sweep the floor before it goes for inspection. Other than they can't see anything in there really, I mean, that's obvious.
And most guys hopefully don't want to sit on that salt in the summer. So they usually try to dwindle it down towards the end of the year. Sometimes it can be difficult for them to
It
do
has to
that.
be in the summertime, so because you can't go in the winter
No.
and interrupt the business.
And where's the concrete most likely to be bad? Where most salt sits on top of it, right?
And a lot of guys want to put asphalt down, but then where's the force for lifting? When you're lifting? If you have tires or a rubber tire machine, you're pushing right down on the earth for where your most oomph is going. And so that's gonna be the first to crack probably. I'm not for making more rules, but I think salt's a different situation. I don't know,
So,
Joe.
so if the floor is cracked inside of a shed and it doesn't get rained on,
That's
who
a very-
cares?
Yeah, it's a very valid point.
I mean, why would?
If it's waterproof, I don't think you have too much of a problem, Joe. In my opinion, I don't know who Shang is, what who Shang you feel, but if you got waterproof over it and you're not
You
getting,
shouldn't have problem if the water is not coming in there,
yes,
because, but at the same time, in the winter time, when the vehicle goes inside that, he drags some water with him because his tire is all wet. So, but I think with the shed, with the cover, you shouldn't have that problem.
Yeah, but that's also providing that the rain runoff is directed away from the shed,
yes.
you know, because if you're,
Well, and Travis, I think we all know that you don't want water getting underneath your saw because then it makes it a big cube and it doesn't work in your salter, so.
Right?
I think you should think about it with this, you're saying, okay, you gotta do inspection, you gotta do this, you gotta do this. Yes, it is affect the business, is a slowdown or it's costly. But at the same time, I think they should think about it. What happens if this contaminate the groundwater?
Yeah.
How much is the cost there?
So I want to give you one example and hopefully maybe somebody, people in the audience understand as well is when I get somebody that says, well, I don't understand, why do I have to abandon this well? I just got a cover on, or it doesn't have a cover on it. And I respond with, would you feel comfortable walking around if I just put a straw in your stomach right now and just walk around the world? And then they go, well, no, I'll get sick. Well, what do you think you're making the groundwater do? Get sick.
Yeah.
So it's a valid point what we're putting down in the ground as well. So too much salt. Also, I think I mentioned last time in that meeting, the Merrill truck stop, we replace their well pump there every month. It's shot and it's from the salt. They cannot get decent water there. Because of where it's at, it's down in a little hole there or whatever. And it's mostly from highway, the contamination from the highway, the salting. So it can happen. It can contaminate not only your well, neighboring wells and so on and so forth. So,
Oh, it happened in Wisconsin, northern Wisconsin. I had a project there.
yeah,
Highway department contaminated village.
yeah. And that's probably why there's inspections, right? Right? I'm not pointing at,
Yeah.
it might look like it's his fault, but that's why there's inspections in place as well.
Yeah, I mean, we do have areas of the village with private wells. So, people that, not everybody's on our municipal system. So, I mean,
That's
You know,
even more critical.
you could have a neighbor that potentially contaminates another neighbor's well if they're
Yep.
not doing it. But I guess that's the hard part of trying to figure out who all is storing salt now, since we.
Well, I think if we were, so Jen's got, 2.5 pages in here of all these, there's 8 questions. I think we probably answered the first 4 already by saying that we want to have inspections. I think, I do think we need to check and make sure that if you're not in a wellhead and you don't have a CUP, if we can legally say that they've got to be inspected. I mean, is that,
And I think you raised a good question.
I don't know if we
Steve.
can do that.
What do other municipalities do? How are they, do they have a difference inside and outside of a wellhead protection area? Because I could see where somebody would say, yeah, they're a quarter mile away from the nearest well and this quantity is then not enough to concern yourself. Or I could see it being the other way where, no, we inspect 100%. I don't like to get over inspection. Or, I realize it's always another burden on staff again, right? But, so I don't want to take this farther than it should be, but I certainly think inside the wellhead protection makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and then like I said, I think looking into whether or not we can legally enforce that, if it's not a CUP, is worthwhile to look into as well. It sounds like we wanted inspections in June. They should occur annually. I'm pretty sure that's all been discussed here. I think the next one that we haven't really talked about would be 6, which is what level of enforcement or follow-up should be expected.
Well, let me just ask one more question, just. Do you think it's an annual inspection or what can really happen from 1 year? And I'm just trying to think of if the person does have salt and we had a bad year where they didn't need to use a lot of salt and their sheds half covered up with salt. They can at least plan every other year that, hey, I know I didn't make it last year or do it last year, but I need inspection. Is it, Michael, what is the reasoning for they're doing every year for you guys?
I think it's really just to make sure, I mean, if you look at the inspection form, it talks about, you know, just, I think it's just double checks to make sure that the structure is good, so the, you know, the pad and apron is the grading still good, everything's draining away, you know, the defects are being taken care of. I think it just, otherwise, if you say, oh, it's every other year, then it becomes every 3rd year, it becomes every 4th year, you know, people start.
Establishes that track record.
Yeah.
To your point, our shed isn't empty. It's correct.
Yeah, ours
It's
generally
full.
isn't empty. I mean, they come in the summertime between, you know, loads of salt delivery, so it's usually in July when we get ours inspected.
How full is it usually?
Depends on the winter prior, you know,
Half full at least.
it could be half full. They don't make us remove
And that's kind of
everything.
where I was going with it.
Right.
Because it's a lot to expect somebody to move that salt and where are they gonna move it to,
Correct.
right?
But I almost think there's a common sense thing for staff when they go out to do inspections, all right? Like,
Yeah.
you got, I mean, I
Ones that-
hear what everybody's saying, but I also think we can, you know.
Mr. Roman, if you went there and you see the asphalt in front of the salt that's there is not weather checked or cracked, you know that
Exactly.
it's probably gonna be okay underneath it.
Exactly. Most of the facilities though, I mean, they're relatively small in comparison to ours.
Yeah, oh, yeah, oh, God,
Absolutely.
yes.
Landscaping companies, I
They're
mean,
very small.
They might be using it for mulch or something else in the summertime too.
that's what Riverview does with their salt
Yeah.
during the summer.
So there you're really looking at, does the roof have holes? Is the, you know, are the walls?
Condition, and with high winds during the summer, you never know what can happen over the course of a year. Wear and tear on a building. I'm more comfortable with an annual. I think it keeps staff in a cadence for the inspections if we're doing it.
A lot of damage can happen in a year, right? A year is a relatively.
So I guess,
You're right, because more importantly, it's the roof, right? Because you don't want it doing runoff.
Yeah.
It's not so much if it's covered up, it's not so much what the salt is laying on, unless you have poor grading.
Yeah.
You had mentioned, Travis.
so as far as enforcement then, I mean, do we want enforcement just to be similar to other code violations that we have? I mean, the first one's what do you get a written, and then how does that work, Jen? Refresh your memory, or what do you, I mean, are you
Send a
proposing
written
something?
notice with a deadline for either fixing something or for them to get in contact with us to fix it. So in this case, we've already had the contact. We'd give them the inspection report and then work with them on deadlines for getting it fixed before the next season starts, I would imagine.
And you might want to have 2 different tiers. And the only reason I bring that up is, to me, there's a violation, you need to repair something, you need to, right? Or there's holy shit, the roof's gone.
Yeah.
Like there's salt, there's salt, literally, we can see it pouring into the ground, and like the idea that we're gonna wait a month is like, no, we're not.
Right.
You know,
Right,
I think we should, I would look at doing something on that level, like there's normal and there's egregious. If you see egregious, then it needs to go quicker.
I think as far as the enforcement, I think we should let staff bring something back to propose to us on how they would handle that.
Yeah, I would just say with that caveat, because sometimes environmental problems need to get handled today, not tomorrow, right?
So
Staff and costs.
the inspection gonna be just one time in summertime? Or they're gonna go back in winter time
It'd be
just
annually.
for visual inspection?
That's
To
up,
make sure they're not dragging everything.
that's up to you. I mean,
Like
all
a
I've heard
picture.
right now is you want us to annually inspect it. So we would be looking at
The
June.
proposal in here somewhere, I thought I read June, July or something like that in the summer.
Well, but so during the operation, if it is gonna be like that picture is not good. You know,
I see what you're saying, Shane, which is, it's kind of like,
It's like a
here
food.
comes the test. Okay, I'm ready. Versus surprise, I got a quiz.
It's like the health inspector coming in to inspect a restaurant when you're closed and you're not operating.
Yes,
I
exactly.
get it.
So there's the structural inspection during the summer and then maybe an operations inspection.
Unannounced, and I mean, yeah, I think there should be a formal inspection
Yeah,
and
it
maybe an
shouldn't take really
unannounced.
much time.
And Roman, you
Because
can
it's
legally do
obvious
that on
you see
private
it.
property, or do you have to call and warn before you go on site?
If it's for the due course of the actions and responsibilities of the position, then yeah,
You're good? You're okay?
if they kick me off, then we have to get a warrant.
I think it's like a restaurant inspection, right? You show up and they know you're not gonna inspect, well then, okay, wait a minute. Right?
Yeah, again, though, like, my only concern about this is. Like, is this something that we can legally do if you're not in
Well,
a
I think that.
conditional
I agree.
use?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that staff's gonna have to ask that of the attorney, I'm assuming.
And I would also like to know what other communities have done or are doing.
Yeah,
I think if it is in DNR, we can do it. Like that, we should check the DNR administrative code and see what the requirement is. And we do similar thing or modify it the way it fit the situation.
now, the other question I have, and I'm bringing this up because, again, it's inconsistent and I recognize that it's inconsistent, but does our current code not require doors?
I don't think it requires a door.
I thought it did, because we required,
I think
we
it
asked that of
should-
Pedronowicz.
Right.
We didn't, so
Go ahead.
we need to come up with some way to be consistent there. And in my opinion personally, from what I've seen it both ways. I think some people choose to protect the salt a little bit more than others do. I know we have a door on ours, but I've also seen plenty of salt storage sheds that do not have a door on the front of them, and the salt's just pushed back. And I can see I can see pros and cons to both ways. So the question is, how do we want the code written? Do you want to make it hey, you can do this if you want, but you're not required to? Or are we gonna enforce that everybody installs doors?
You're getting more protection on your investment when you have doors on it. I mean, because at the end of the day,
You're not ruining yourself.
yeah, I mean, if we get a rain and rain gets in that salt, we get cold temperatures, the salt's gonna freeze. It gets clumpy, it's harder you're wrecking your investment because you're putting clumps of that into your truck and everything like that. So at the end of the day, having doors and having that building somewhat weather tight or watertight is only protecting their investment on their.
I don't disagree with you. My question is,
How do you?
do we enforce that or do we leave that up to the person who?
I would be, again, curious to see what other community standards are. Just my comment,
So Shane, I feel that if you have the building pad flat and you have no way for that stuff to run out of there, if there's not a door on it, you should be contained. The water's gonna evaporate, but it's gonna also affect your salt, which is gonna make them not want that rain to come in there. So if they wanna put a tarp in front of it, or not that that's gonna be a pretty sight either, but people are gonna, if they're gonna propose something like this, I'm assuming they're gonna want to protect their investment.
Depend how much he's gonna put in that storage shed.
Yes. How
If you
far
bring
out?
it up all the way,
Yeah,
hey, it's rain, the wind blow it, then it's gonna go in and, yeah. So it's up to that individual. Again, I'll go back to those pictures. And that shed over there, it was outside of the shed. Right?
yeah, and what you got there, I'm just being honest, is you got somebody in there with a loader, they're backing out and they're spilling it, they got the loader bucket too full. So they're
Yeah.
spilling it off the sides when they're going to load it into a truck.
Right.
And now and what we want to try to eliminate, which we see it all over an intersection, sometimes the county guy will come up to an intersection and then he keeps the salter going. And then you see a huge pile in the road. Well, we know that's going right down the storm sewer, which is going right to the river, right?
Yeah.
So we're trying to eliminate that on a private piece of property as well, because now it's concentrated in one location, high concentration, which isn't good for your well or surrounding.
I will say that if we're gonna use this DOT inspection form, as far as I can see, there is nothing on here that is requiring you to have a door. They even have a box that says NA, under 11, if this subsite is a structure, repairs needed to the roof, the walls, the door. There's a box for NA, meaning it does not apply.
That's why I wanted to see what other communities are doing, because maybe even the DO, maybe the DNR even says, well, we don't, as long as you have the salt so far back from the, you know what I mean? They may have a thing, you need a door if you're this close, or if it's pushed back far enough, you don't need a door. I mean, I don't know what the standards are.
I don't disagree with any of the points made here. The point that I'm trying to make is we required that of somebody. And maybe we shouldn't have, and I think maybe the doors are something that should be up to that business owner as to how they want to run their business.
You don't require doors.
So why did it get put on to them?
Like a,
Theirs is west facing instead of east facing, right?
maybe that's what it was,
So that could have been it too,
because it
where
was for the rain.
Sprayed with some sort of foam. For salvage, yeah, because of salt dust.
But again, that could be something, if we want some research done as far as what other municipalities are doing before I'm fine with that. That was just, that, I know that wasn't on here, but that was a thought that I had.
Sprayed.
That makes sense.
Sprayed this in.
Jen, is there any other, I mean, did we talk about everything on here that you wanted us to specifically touch on, or is there something that we're missing?
Number 7, on how you want us to formalize this. Do you want us to formalize it through conditional use permit conditions? So add it to the zoning code, or if you want it just as an administrative policy.
So what you're referencing, Jen, if I can suggest is any salt shed period that's permitted or used in the village needs to have a conditional use permit. That's how you can tie somebody's requirements to it and have an inspection. Would
I
that?
don't know, we'd have to look at it. We could do it
Because
that way.
Otherwise,
But it's just, if it goes into the zoning code, it would be future ones. Because
Or
there's
can you
that
just-
non-conforming status that
or
happens.
can you just put a permit fee for $100, or I don't know what it would take, Roman, to do that for an inspection. So
It
I'm just,
depends on how you guys set it up.
You're gonna have to talk to the attorney also, because, I mean, I think it's clear we would prefer this apply to everyone potentially, at least if they're inside a wellhead protection zone.
Yeah, I think the answer to this question really depends on whether or not we can do that.
Right.
I mean, because if it's gonna be only wellhead protection, that's conditional use, so then it's gonna be through CUP conditions. But if you're gonna do an inspection on everybody in the village, and that changes things, and I think it would probably require an ordinance amendment.
Yeah, we don't have anything codified currently for outside of the wellhead protection zone.
Say that again?
We don't have anything codified currently for outside of the wellhead protection zone.
is that codified? Is that like a fish?
Which, so that means that we wouldn't be able to do that? Is that what you're saying?
There's nothing in the code that says we can force it.
Basically, so yeah, we'd have to,
So this is more than likely gonna just have to apply to wellhead situations.
As it sits right now.
or we'd have to implement it. And then there's gonna have to be an annual fee with an annual inspection,
Right.
right?
Because we're taking time away from something else to
Yes.
do that.
And then there's administrative time as well.
Hold on a second. Do we charge a fee for a fire inspection? If we're gonna implement, I'm just bringing this up. If we're gonna implement this,
Fire inspections are with Safer, so that's not us.
Marty's
And
right.
then they do it on every single business on their setup for that. We charge, the only time we go in is on a permit or like a zoning occupancy. These guys will go in.
does the state charge us for our inspection?
2%. What's the state fire fee go to?
No, I mean, I'm talking the salt shed. Do we get billed by the state for our
Well, if
inspection?
they're getting it from the salt from the state, they're probably paying for it. I'm just saying.
Probably in that.
That's a hard one.
And Marty, you
Well,
do
give me a
charge if you
second,
have
I
to
can-
do a lot of times, don't you?
It's a fine.
Oh, not a re-inspection fee.
But if you inspect it and everything's fine, there's no fee for that initial inspection. You know, I understand charging a fee for a new building permit or, you know, if you're gonna do a renovation, I get that, but I would not be in favor of a fee for this if we're gonna implement this.
I would support that also.
I'm just wondering, I honestly, I'm not thinking of any off the top of my head. Are we aware of other salt structures that are outside of these? Like,
There's 11.
Oh, I miscounted. No,
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 no, not.
none. The internet proved me wrong. None of them, they said they're all located in Weston, but none of them are. So ignore the 11. I cannot find any.
okay, outside of these two. I mean, can anyone else think of one that would be outside of these two where you know salt's being stored?
Well,
Yeah.
Anybody that
Yeah.
follows, I gotta think they got salt. I mean.
Or they have access to it.
Or they
We'd
have
have to
access, yeah, I
look.
mean,
Yeah.
they either have their supply or they're getting it somewhere.
We used to have,
So
I mean,
let's
we
start
used to
there
have it at
for businesses.
Revi when they were there. They're not there anymore.
Some
Um,
companies just dump it in the parking lot.
What
Leave
about
it there.
Stern? Well, yeah, we had that with
I'm
Stern.
not kidding.
I've seen it
We
dumped
did
in
have that
parking lot
with
with a
Stern.
tarp over it.
Yeah.
They did that behind Pickens here 2 weeks ago.
We had to have them moved.
So.
I'm just saying, it's not just one instance. I seen it.
load the truck up then, cause it's $200 a ton.
Contractors doing that.
Right, we had one and we had a complaint on it and.
Yeah, cause they know they're gonna use it on that lot, so they put
Forrest
it
had
there.
them remove it.
Yeah.
We do, I mean, we'd have to look, we have landscaping companies in the business park and over by the junior high, there's 2, I think, in there.
Well, Stearns is over by the junior high, but
Stern,
they
and what
don't
about
have-
the other one, the
they don't have the
small
ability
one?
to store outside. Stearns doesn't.
Joe, what is your thoughts on this with Wassa Supply and your past experience with that? Any chemicals or anything like that that you guys have had? Do you have to have any inspections to make sure you're complying or? And is there any fees involved in any of that, like annual to keep any license or registrations or? Don't you think this?
Now, when you talk about inspections.
Like EPA for
A license, you know, a license is always gonna be some kind of fee attached to it, but,
Irremittance, like I know, Crystal used to talk about that. Mark always said that the DNR, they can only have so much amount of, so many particulates. in
He's
the
got an
air.
emissions permit.
Yeah,
He's
so,
got a regenerative thermal oxidizer.
so then there's some stuff involved in that with painting. and-
well, yeah, so that's, there you're getting into, an annual permit. And you have to actually track your emissions.
But in my opinion is, why? Because we're putting it in the air in the public, right?
Right.
Okay, what are we doing with the salt as well? If somebody has too much storage and it's gonna get in the earth and it can affect their wells.
You know, when you really get down to when you consider how much is actually spread out in the environment, what's in that shed or in that shed area is insignificant compared to, you know, so if you try to figure out a way to regulate that, the reality is we're not doing anything. I mean, different than putting salt down everywhere.
I agree in certain ways, yeah.
You know, so the reality is that anybody that invests in salt, you would typically would try to protect that investment or maintain it so that it's usable, right? And you know, it's like, I'm just trying to think of any situations where somebody actually dumps it out someplace and puts a tarp over it.
I can tell you, I watched one right out in Wausau by our pit out there. It was one of the contractors dumped it, put a tarp on it. And the rain got it and it washed right down to the wetlands and the river. It's sad, but they do it because they can't afford to put a salt shed up. And then they cracked into it. They just had plastic with sandbags on. Then they cracked into it, put a loader and the plastic's blown off of it and it's just running. Sad, sad to see it, you know, but somebody's got to go back there from the city of Wausau and see it. Is what has to happen, but it happens, you know, and that's the only concern with it that I have is how do you, if you have a permit taken, you have to, you know, if you want to have that salt, it prohibits somebody from allowing that to happen. Probably, the other thing is I'm a plumber, so it's a little bit more home to me because of wells and contamination, probably than the average person, but I know it takes a lot to do it, Joe, but that sure can't help if somebody's doing that either. And you're right, we do. How many years have we put salt on our roads through the whole winter? I mean, we do it, it goes down our storm sewers all over the place, which hits our rivers. It's obviously not good for stuff, but. I mean, I can go both ways. It's just a matter of how do you then, what is our right if we have somebody that's got something? Do we have a right to slap their hand? Or is it in our jurisdiction to do that, Roman? If we have nothing in the code?
Well, there's nothing to enforce if it's not in the code. I mean,
Oh, so if you see something like that, what are you supposed to do? Call the DNR? If you see it, then you just call the DNR. Yeah, okay.
According, I guess we'd have to look into this, but what it trans 277?
Yep.
That's stating, what does it state in that first
Any
paragraph?
entity, public or private, that stores indoor or outdoor of more than 1,000 pounds of bulk road salt for use of road, driveway, or parking lot for the purpose of preventing or removing snow or ice would be applied to this trans 277. That they'd have to abide by those rules.
Which would mean that it's eligible for inspection, is the way I don't know, we'd have to talk to the attorney about that.
Well, can we have staff look a little further into some of those things you talked about? And then
Yeah, did we give you enough to go on?
Sure.
Bring it back next month if need be.
Well, it'll be back.
I know it'll be back. But if you need further discussion, I mean.
I guess I want to know number 7.
I don't feel that
How do you want us to do it?
I don't feel that we can answer that until we have some answers.
legal advice.
I just keep saying, what is everybody else doing? That's kind of what I'd like to know.
well,
I'm guessing they're not doing anything.
that trans
correct?
277, I mean, that's the DOT standard. So 1,000 pounds of salt is
Not a lot.
not that much salt.
The guys in the little things on the back of their truck that think their powers have 1,000 pounds of salt. And I mean, you see these trucks, I mean, look what goes in our trucks.
So
A little F-550 can hold 10,000 pounds of salt in it. I mean, so there's thousands and thousands of pounds of this.
right. So the DOT may have a registry, but how many businesses don't actually?
How many pounds do you typically put on a truck, Michael?
Tons.
That's what I'm getting at.
About 16
A
tons.
quad axle is
So-
22 ton.
So 32,000
Quads,
pounds. Just to put into perspective,
Big
not that much.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody's registering that with the DOT. So many damn rules out there, it's hard to, I don't know what it is.
All right, we beat that up enough for tonight.
What about the last one, number 8? What's the legal consideration?
I think we already stated that there's some things there that we have to talk to the attorney to make sure that it's legal for us to do that, and I'm personally not in favor of charging for an inspection. I don't know what everybody else here is thinking, but I wouldn't vote for that.
I think we gotta be careful how much costs especially as you compare yourself to other communities, what burden you're placing on the business, right? I mean, we don't want to wind up with a situation where we don't have any lawn care or snowplow services because we've got too many requirements. It's too expensive.
And Jamie, you got the DOT information.
Yeah,
Somebody brought
I
that
gave
up.
it to Jen.
And then, Jen, I guess maybe it's just a referral if they see it. Roman, if you see it, maybe it's just, okay, well, we refer, and if you're in a wellhead, maybe we just do a conditional use and we protect the ones that are wellhead and the ones outside of that. If you see a nuisance or you get a complaint, maybe that we just turn it over to the other person. DNR or the DOT or whatever it may be. And the other thing along with Roy's comment is, what is Wausau, or we know what Wausau or other communities are doing? Is that something we could find out?
We can ask Wausau. I'm guessing they would be the only ones that would have anything. Maybe remote, but.
All right. Number 10, discussion of cul-de-sac regulations. taking this one.
I think Michael's pretty good at that. He keeps looking over at Jen, so.
She wrote it.
She wrote it.
Wrote it.
I think I guess the discussion started as some of these subdivisions start coming up, especially with some of the phasing plans. We have some items in our code that mentions cul-de-sac streets, are permitted to a certain extent within the ETZ. And then within the village, it actually kind of says not allowed, but we've had a couple plats in recent years here where we've allowed cul-de-sacs because like Kashyyyk and Hinter Springs, it was a little piece of land that went into a wetland and there really wasn't a good way to loop the road around. And, we're like, it's 500 feet, it's a short one. Same thing with Granite Ridge. There's a cul-de-sac that heads west down into a wetland area. So, then like Anastasia or what's it called now, Old Junior View subdivision, they're looking at that. Right now, it's one long cul-de-sac off of Shorey, and potentially it could branch off and become a more connected subdivision, but right now it's just one long cul-de-sac. So as developers are coming in and we're trying to help people figure out how can I best develop this land, we as staff want to be able to tell them this is allowed, this isn't allowed. And, I guess, when we did a lot of our zoning code change, we went from, allowing anything and everything to happen to now saying nothing. And now we're trying to kind of come back and blend it a little bit of what makes sense. How do we fit within the environment and make, allow the best use of all the land so that it can be utilized and developer doesn't end up with a bunch of wasted land, I guess.
Well, and that's what I was gonna say, not to interrupt you, Michael, at all, but it's honestly, you guys would wanna see the developed land get developed and the developer wants to as well.
Correct.
It's best for both parties to try to utilize the amount of square footage or properties that you can, so.
Yeah, I mean, connectivity is key. We don't, at one point we had 3 cul-de-sacs in the village right by Renaissance where, you almost stand and touch 3 different cul-de-sacs all coming together and the roads didn't come through. So I think some of those principles of connectivity we still want to keep, but.
Oh, yeah, because you just don't know, you can't control the other person's property, but you don't want to lose access to it. Because once you got property lines there, you ain't getting through later because buildings are built and then now you can't get access. So I think it's really good that you guys have future foresight and when you're reviewing those plans that you do require some, you require something to feed an addition, right? Or feed to the other properties, which I think is amazing that you do that. And there's forethought in it, because otherwise you're blocking it and then you're dead ending it. What do you do now? So,
yeah,
I think there's a good reason to have this in the code. Just a matter of how we want to modify it. I think there were some good conversations on this last time too.
Well, I think the reason this came up was because of Anastasia, right? Correct? That's what prompted this.
Well, I think Jim had mentioned some stuff to us. Do we have cul-de-sacs in the code? Do we not? Why do we have some in some areas? Why don't we not? How do we move forward? How come some are okay and some aren't?
Well, truth be told, when you read through chapter 74 subdivision regulations, I think it's pretty clear what's allowed and what's not, right? It says right here, cul-de-sac streets designated to have one end permanently closed shall not be permitted within the village except in areas where topography or environmental constraints exist as determined by the Public Works Director.
So that portion in bold is what we're looking to add.
That's what they're looking to add.
Oh, that's not added.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Yeah.
Go up above, where the bullet points are, and that's what I think is currently in place.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just have some good modifications.
70 or 81.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough, because it does say they're not permitted, but like the one in Hinter Springs, I mean, that made sense. But I think it's important to point out that on Anastasia, although it looks like a cul-de-sac right now, the intent is not for it to stay that way.
Yes.
So for us to sit here and say that it's not gonna be allowed, I don't think that's the correct answer there, because is the property next to that gonna sell next year? Is it gonna sell 30 years from now? Who knows? But to your point, you don't wanna bootstrap whoever
As long as we can work with whoever's developing and make sure that the fire department can get in there and turn around and move around, that's the best avenue to do it, because you don't wanna close that off and say, no, we can't put that road in because it's a cul-de-sac. Cause now we just shut down development and we shut down future development. So I think it would be bad for us to not look ahead.
Do all these new subdivisions have sidewalks at least one side of the road?
If they're in a single family small lot, yes.
Okay, one issue that we have, in our subdivision is I am 0.23 miles away from, the main road. And the bus will not come down our cul-de-sac to pick our kids up, because we're under the quarter-mile stretch. So we're 0.23 miles, the bus will not come in our cul-de-sac. And they don't want to be in any cul-de-sacs, the buses.
Correct. Yeah.
Cause they can't get the radius to spin around, or they don't wanna turn
They
around.
don't want to, they're concerned about, view, bus driver view with kids and such like that.
Well, yours was probably built pre-code change when this was.
Yeah, I mean, there's no sidewalk in your subdivision at all.
And that's why I asked.
Right.
Yeah, so, and even now, like we don't necessarily run sidewalk around the bulb, we'd run it up to the bulb.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
And is the reason with the sidewalk, then the kids can walk down further? Is that the reason why?
I mean,
Safely?
I think it's really any dead end street. I know, like people that lived on Christensen, that's a dead end road. The bus wouldn't go down Christensen to pick up.
So you gotta take them all.
We get that call from a lot of actually, parents who, move into a new area or some of their kids are school age, calling us and saying, we need to tell the bus company to pick up their kid. And we say, unfortunately, the bus just doesn't go down the dead end roads. They want to be able to loop around.
It's their site is what they're saying. They're clear.
So like,
vision site.
so they wouldn't go down in Reedy's new subdivision, then they're not gonna want.
There are kids that get picked up at Shorey there.
So that'll be anything further extension
It
until.
possibly could be, yeah,
Oh, wow,
unless it's way down, I mean,
yeah. Cause I would assume if it goes down and spins around, there's not a circle. Well, there was a circle.
there would be eventually, yeah,
Eventually, but right now, there's not. It would be that cul-de-sac on the end.
yeah,
Because I don't believe there was a circle prior to that dead end, was there? No, there wasn't.
no,
If there was a circle, then they would probably go down there.
yeah.
So my question is, in the spirit of not inadvertently creating another problem by approving this tonight, in the areas where we're gonna allow cul-de-sacs, does the code specifically outline where the sidewalks have to end and begin, and at what feet length the trigger is? Cause I know what you I know what you just said about them ending at the bulb, and I think we've been consistent with that. My question is, if we're gonna now say that these are allowed in areas where topography or environmental constraints exist, do we have the proper coding
With
the sidewalks to account for that?
In the sidewalk requirement, we actually changed the when the Weston's neighborhood school project was going on, because there was discussion about sidewalk going down those cul-de-sacs. And we said if sidewalks, just a second. 7, 8, 9. The requirement for sidewalks could be waived on short dead-end streets, so anything less than 400 feet in length with fewer than 100 vehicle trips per day, based on the Institute of Transportation Engineers manual. So a residential house is expected to generate 11 trips per day for what that work is worth. And then, and with no prospect of connection to other pedestrian facilities as determined by the village board. So like K-Chick is a good example. It's less than 400 feet. It doesn't generate 100 vehicle trips per day.
Same with Henner Springs.
That's what
Oh,
K-Chick is.
okay,
Henner
I
Springs.
apologize.
Yeah, so that one, we were like, yeah, don't need to put sidewalk on it, cause it fits that criteria, and we have the multi-use path on Birch Street, so, that's right there too. So, yes,
So just so we understand, or I understand, when you have a short dead end, are they feeling that no sidewalk for the simple reason that the child can walk down the road and feel safe enough because there's not a lot of traffic, because it's only the couple houses on there?
yeah, and that was what we have in our subdivision code currently, is we wouldn't require a developer to put sidewalk on that short street because to your point, yeah, if it's
Okay.
4 houses,
So then on Reedy's subdivision, I don't remember the name of that. But they wouldn't anyway, because it's a rural setting.
correct,
They
yeah.
don't have any sidewalk requirements. We wouldn't require anything on that one. But if it was in town, we would require that.
Yeah,
And it would have to be on both sides, correct?
correct,
And it would stop before the bulb hit,
yeah,
because it would just stop before they.
Unless it's under 400 feet, then you don't need it.
then it
Yes.
wouldn't be needed, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how it's been written,
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Yeah, so that part of the code doesn't change, it's just really that sentence of, cul-de-sac streets, except in areas where topography and environmental constraints exist. I mean, it says as determined by the Public Works Director. I'd rather that say as determined by, the Plan Commission or somebody else, but,
I think it should be as determined by the Public Works Director and approved by.
or as recommended by the Public Works Director and approved by, yeah.
I mean,
I like that, I like that.
I go to a lot of these things and it's like, you know, better than pretty much any of the rest of us, I feel, and when you can look at the overall big picture, because you do it every day.
And Michael's,
right?
and Michael's
It's-
really, really reasonable when it comes to any of this stuff.
And the thing is, I always wanna, I'm the Public Works Director today, somebody else could be here tomorrow, and they might have a completely different interpretation, so I guess that's where,
I think the position, staff positions, you guys are all good about it. Like, what direction do you want to see,
Yeah.
right? You don't come in with, this is what we're doing, right? This, it's.
Yeah.
Well, I like the wording recommended and then approved by, and we have to approve the plat
Well,
anyways.
that's what I was just gonna say.
Exactly.
He's giving a recommendation on it no matter
Yeah.
what. It's just he's gonna say it's okay or it's not in whatever we give you. So ultimately, you're still the approval body and so.
Then when
is
it
the
comes to
board.
us, we're still asking Michael anyway.
yeah. And honestly, it's one of those things where I feel okay about Hinter Springs and like the Granite Ridge, cause it did come through the plat, and I believe we did talk about those layouts, so. It's kind of the same process, it's just matching the code to the process.
And even if it comes in on a CSM, it still has to go through and get approved by you and the board. So it's not.
So this item's for discussion and direction only. You'll have to formulate language to bring back to us.
Well, that would be the language. But it requires an amendment to chapter 74, which requires a public hearing. So
Okay.
that's why we can't just.
One more question, Michael, on the criteria, the one for like Reedy's, we're getting by with that because of the verbiage, right? The topography, wetlands, floodplains,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's the environmental constraints,
Because that's gonna be past that footage.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, again, that's where Chris provided kind of his full build out, and there it is looped, and it's not, I guess over that,
But you still want to utilize as much property
correct,
as possible for development.
yeah.
Understood.
We good? All right, item number, no, it's gotta come back for under a public hearing. Item number 11, do we want to take 11 and 12 together or separately?
Move to approve.
Move to approve.
11 and 12.
So a motion to approve the December 2025 staff approved certified survey maps and site plans and the December 2025 building permits by Mumper, seconded by Jordan. On the question? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Number 13, Planning and Development Department Project Update Report.
So I have my monthly report in the packet, and as part of that, there is a 2026 department work plan that has been provided to you. This is something that I have been wanting to do for the last few years. In 25, we kind of did it more or less internally, and it didn't come out to really for anyone to see, but basically, this is kind of the projects that the department anticipates working on over the next year. It probably is way too many to complete, depending on what happens development-wise. But it's just kind of my thoughts on the direction that I would like the department to go and things that we should be working on in all of our core services. So you could see the department does quite a bit of different, wears lots of hats. So we have planning, zoning, building inspections, some of the economic development for the village, property maintenance, and then refuse and recycling. And within each of those core services, we've defined overall goals and objectives basically for the overall department. There are some goals, and then there's some for each of the core planning services. And I have incorporated those into the goals for each of the staff members going forward for 26.
And this is all consistent with the strategic plan too, correct?
Yeah. So I've been working under the previous strategic plan probably since we put it into place, because that one had so many different projects. And so we're just kind of wrapping those up. And this is kind of my brain dump for the next, this is probably more of a 5-year plan for the department, but just on things that we need to do. We need to look at getting things out of my brain and Roman's and Valerie's, people who've been here for a long time, getting those into standard operating procedures. We've kind of been working on those and tweaking them as staff, as we've gotten new staff and kind of transitioning different roles within the department.
I'm personally a firm believer of setting goals that are lofty and are not always easily obtained, because it pushes you to be better, I think. So even I realize it may seem like a lot, but I think sometimes you get, I don't know, for lack, maybe a little bit complacent when you have goals that are too easy to reach all the time. So even though it's a lot, I'm fully in support of it. Anybody have any other comments on the Planning and Development Department project update report and the work plan?
Item 3, that evolves software upgrade. Just listening to Citizen Vinceno's, I don't know if it's an issue or he couldn't locate it.
So some of them, there's a little underneath it, it says details, and you click on it. So it depends on how he's looking for something. Because I was able to find it and look at it. A lot of the items are still going to be under review just because of staff time in order to get things out to you. I don't necessarily get in there right away and have things closed out until after the project is done. And quite frankly, sometimes it takes me a few months to get through to them because I'm working on getting the next person going. So I get as much done as I can, and then we fill in with getting the documentation back, because these conditional uses that you guys approved tonight, I might not see them again for another month or two, depending on, the county's getting better that they're actually emailing them to me, but prior to that, I used to have to wait for them to get mailed back to me. And so then they sit on the corner of my desk until I have the ability to go in and close out that project, because we're kind of on the next month, like.
I'm not throwing stones at you.
I don't think so either. So Jen, what you're explaining is they might be at a stage where
It could say under review, even though you guys have approved it, just because it's
Yeah.
not gonna
You have it at
instantly
time.
tomorrow
Yeah.
say that it's approved, because I have things I have to do to close it out.
Or sometimes you need the final piece of the puzzle and you shoot off an email to somebody and it takes.
Yeah.
Sometimes
weeks to get a
they're
response.
they're working on something, so sometimes it takes us a back and forth to get updated plans depending on what happens at the meeting and things like that, so.
Understood.
We don't, I mean, I don't have administrative staff,
Yeah, you
so
don't have an
I'm the
assistant helping
administrative
you
staff.
Fill all that stuff out. You
So I
gotta
have
try
to do
fill
all the
it out.
filing.
Yeah.
And that does take a lot of time.
So if you do it like say a revision of a cup, just because we go down there and there's whatever button you click, it might not be showing in there because it might be in the middle of process.
So it's a project, and I'll look into it to see what exactly it says, but If it's something within the same project in that conditional use, I have been basically opening another stage within that original project. So sometimes, so say you've got somebody, like in the case of Reedy's rezone that he came into, that project, it says, Bull Junior, it's got a rezone application stage in there. There's the preliminary plat stage that's sitting out there. Then they'll come back for final plat. So they'll have multiple stages in there. So you're only gonna see, when you look at it, it's only gonna be whatever that person put in. Sometimes I'll go in and change the wording and description on it. It's what they say it is. So it's in there. If you click on it,
Whatever Chris entered on his end, it may not even be.
it might come in as a rezone at first. And so then we have to change it to be that name out there. Sometimes that doesn't happen because we're doing it on our side. I've got it in there. I know what it is and I can see it. I don't know how the payment thing is working because it just says if they're owed something on it. I don't know. I have to look at that. That wasn't a function we had before.
And I'm assuming you're only seeing your end of it, not.
I don't look at what you guys can see.
That's my point. So you're
I
probably
mean,
not
I am
even
now
knowing that's a
going
problem.
out, I'm now going out and looking when I close something off to see what exactly is set for for the public to be able to see. Because quite frankly, we actually have people who don't want their site plans, like their internal site plans being shown for fear that someone's gonna go
Yeah,
and
that's a thing.
rob them. So we're playing with that too, where these people don't want all their information out there public too. So, and I have it set up that only certain things show up there on the end. They have to be approved by you or approved by us, because if it's just in a draft form and somebody gets a hold of that, sometimes a project comes in one way and by the time it actually gets approved, it looks totally different for what it is.
I'm gonna reference that and say, I back you on that for the simple reason when you say some people don't want you to see that. When we go for a mining permit to dig a pond somewhere, because you're moving the material off-site, now this is a mining, right? That might take us $40,000 to $50,000 to go through all the bull poop that it takes to do it. And now that's public comment or public knowledge of all the crap that you paid attorneys and engineers and all this crap to do. And now they could take that same paperwork and say, well, they got approved, I'm gonna do their route, and just take it and they get it for nothing. So there is some of that. I understand what you're saying, where you may not want to. I didn't even know that was available for you not to show it. I thought everything had to be public record.
Yeah, there's certain, like, we have it set up, and so somebody actually has to go back in there after it's all approved and put it in as the final site plan, so that we can put that project in there that way. Because if
You
it
can't
comes in,
blame
it's
some-
just proposed when we're looking at it.
Yeah, and you can't blame some people for doing that because they may have paid an engineer or architect or, somebody to design a whole subdivision. If they bring a preliminary in and it's public and then they don't end up getting the property, say they have a contingency on the property. Now all of a sudden, somebody else can come and take that same plan and they didn't pay anything for it. So I know that was one of my thorns in my tail, to be honest, and we're off subject a little bit. But when I would come in and you guys would say, well, do you have a plan of it? No, we don't have a plan of it. We're not gonna spend $30,000 to $50,000 on this layout. Is this something that you think the village would like in this area? Those were some of the reasons why, is because you may get turned down on it and you don't want to spend $30,000 to $50,000 putting a big, nice package together. Like Amazon's different. Who doesn't want Amazon here, right? So you're gonna go through hoops to get Amazon here. So a normal, like, say you got a vacant piece of property, 20-acre piece of property in town, and you want to come in, what I'm trying to train Cronewetter to do as well is, I want to come in and sit down with a Jen or a Jamie and say, and a Michael and a Roman, the guy with the hatchet. I'm teasing Roman. And sit down and say, is this something that you guys want in the community? And what are some of the requirements, right? That's what I think has always been really good. And I think now that you guys have been awesome with that. Jamie, you've been involved in some of those meetings, these pre-meetings as well with the developments and stuff. I think that's super. And you can help the developer along. They may not have the plans up front, but if they know that our community is willing to do that and has the time to sit down and do that, now they can take the next step and go to spend that $30,000 or $50,000.
We do have pre-application meetings with everyone.
Yeah.
What we're finding is more of the corporate, larger like franchise. They ask us for the information ahead of time yet, and then they'll come in and they pretty much have a full set package. They kind
They're
of,
experienced.
well, they have somebody working for them collecting it. It gets a little hard on our side because those are the types of things that we would all sit down in the room and talk about, but we make do. So there's a few projects percolating out there that are kind of like that, where they're probably gonna have a full blown site plan when they come in for those pre-application meetings, but we just want a concept plan just so that we can talk through things and know exactly what people are doing so we can not get caught and say, oh, now you need a conditional use permit.
Well, thank you.
Anybody else have any other questions on agenda item number 13? No, hearing none. I think we just need to acknowledge this.
Move to acknowledge.
Second.
Motion by Mumper, seconded by Gurnt. On the question, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Announcements and commissioner remarks. Do we have any announcements? No. Commissioner remarks. Travis, anything?
Nothing.
Gary?
I happy new year to everybody and thank you staff for all the hard work and commitments you guys put into our community every day.
Roy? Good. Joe?
I really appreciate the effort you're putting into those, Jen, with your goals. I think it's a great thing to do and I, when you can't get it all done, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Shane?
Yeah, just the report, as I said before, Jan, it's really good information you give to us and I like it. So.
I like it as well. I think it gives us a good snippet into the method behind your madness sometimes,
Yeah.
for lack of a better term.
Thanks.
I did forget to bring up, I did send an email out to the village board and to the planning commission last
that.
week on last Friday to get your comments on that community survey that will be sent
That was
out.
a very nice survey, Jen.
So I did get comments back from Husheng, thank you. And then Luis also sent something back today. So if there's anything, you still have some time to look at it, let us know if there's anything. But our hope is to get that survey out in early February. And then we will be coming forward with an updated meeting schedule over the next, I think, when we talked to Mark last week, we'd be looking at probably approving the comprehensive plan in March of 27. So we'll be working on it quite a bit during this year. There's probably 3 or 4 meetings scheduled. They won't be on planning commission nights. We'll have to find an alternative night where both the planning commission and the board can be there so that everyone's on the same page when we go to get a final document.
Did you guys get some help putting that together, Jen, or was that done?
The survey?
Yeah, was that done by staff?
So Mark set it up, but it's using similar questions that we used the last time, 10 years ago. So then there's been a few updates just based off of things.
Sure.
The first question was, I actually really liked that one. I think JB did too.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Where it was asking just kind of like what you think of the village. I think Luis had a really good comment on even making it even better. So we'll get that updated and sent out to everybody.
Do you want us to fill up the questionnaire too, or just?
No, not yet. You can take it when we release it. So it'll go out on SurveyMonkey. We should have 2 elections probably to have that QR code so people will see it here. We're planning on having some little business card type notifications that we can ask businesses to put out, and then we'll have here too, and flyers that we can hang up, and then it'll go out on our social media, and then we should be able to even in the newsletter too, for the paper newsletter. Now, there will be a hard copy that people can request if they don't, but most people can just take it on their phones.
We'll have to take some cards when you guys have them.
Steve, can I make a couple more comments? I would like to ask Jamie how's things going for you, Jamie? You like working at the village? Not that you can't be honest right now, but I mean, I think you've done a great job and added, you're a good asset to the community and the staff.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, that was your second comment, so we'll keep it
And
short.
Audrey,
Go ahead.
do you like your new job?
I do, yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And we know Valerie, she's just always a go-getter.
Yeah, I know people wanna go to bed.
What'd she say?
Have to get up at 3:30.
Oh, she said be quiet and get done.
All right, next regular meeting date, Monday, February 9th, 2026 at 6 PM. Future agenda items or staff referrals. Does anybody have anything they'd like to see come back? Hearing none, I'm gonna entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. You already got it.
So motion by Gurnt, seconded by Hoffman on the question. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. We are adjourned at 8:21 PM. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.